Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Here with the nicest person named Emily, who said we could record her session so you can benefit from her experience and strength and wisdom and hope, as well as her trials and tribulations and stumbles and falls. Right, Emily?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. What if we start with a little bit about your food background?
I'm in my late 20s, and this has been ongoing through my whole life. I can remember feeling very possessive of food as a kid, wanting to hide it. It got worse in college. I was never not overweight. I was just overweight to varying degrees. And the older I got, the more I seemed to binge and the more creatively I was binging. So Nicole had introduced me to your podcast, and I spent a cross-country flight listening to podcasts nonstop, and I started some food rules on my own.
And then what happened?
And then everything changed. To compare numbers 4 weeks later, my food problem score had gone down to a 0.
Down to a 0?
Yes.
That means you were not obsessing about food at all anymore?
Correct.
Okay, I definitely want to ask you about that, but go ahead.
I had been binging anywhere from 10 to 15 times a month. I had not binged at all over the last 4 weeks.
Beautiful. It's still kind of new. Tell me what happened. Had you experienced anything like this before in your life? A lot of people have been on a diet and binge roller coaster. I'm just trying to distinguish it from things that might have happened before.
I hadn't really done anything like this before. I had just tried to be a happy fat person for the most part and sort of ignored the problem. I hadn't done every diet out there. I hadn't even acknowledged or consciously ever really made a plan, except for one time that I had done a lemonade cleanse. And so for a month, I only drank lemonade, and I did lose a significant amount of weight. And then I gained it all back and then some. But that was my only real attempt at a diet.
Are you doing this month by starving yourself like that, or what?
Not even close. I feel like I'm losing weight without even trying. My first rule was very impactful, which it was designed to be. And just by not thinking about how much or when or if I should eat something, just knowing that my rule is that I don't eat processed sugars and dessert foods, that I just don't have to think about it. And just avoiding that one thing is what I attribute to even now, a month and a half, 2 months after I started, being down 15 pounds.
Wow. Okay. So you're losing weight pretty quickly?
About 2 pounds a week.
Okay. That's about the upper end of what we find works okay. So what specifically was it that made you decide you didn't have to be a happy fat person?
The process and the guidance. One thing I found was very honest, and it was okay to be blunt. And whereas with friends or even with a therapist, to say something like, oh, I think I'll just be a happy fat person is really like offensive to fit people, it seems. And they think like, no, don't think that way. And they want to make me feel better. And like, no, you're not fat. It's okay. And to be able to just acknowledge that, yes, I am fat and I have a problem and I need to lose weight. Okay, you're helping me instead of trying to just make me feel better is very productive. And it was the first time I was experiencing something like that. I also really strive with rules and structure in my personal life. And so to think like, duh, a rule helped me, that was such an obvious thing. And I think at some point you had said, we're just making common sense more attainable and structured. And that's exactly what it is for the most part for me. And so thinking like I have a rule, it's very obvious what my first rule needed to be. And it's not shocking that it's been effective. It's surprising how little I've had to think about it in my day-to-day life. And sure, there's a lot of back-end work that goes into that of creating the right rule and being conscious about this and doing my refutations and checking in with my coach. But when I'm standing in front of the refrigerator, I don't have to think hard at all. And that's a big change for me.
Terrific. What else helped you in the program?
The big why. I had signed up online with the intensive. I knew that a big why was coming. And that is something that I'd heard of before. Like other people have said the term of the big why, or why are we doing certain things? Why do things matter? And I'd never been able to articulate one. I think I came in a little bit stubborn. It was an activity that I spent a lot of time doing and I got so much out of. And I didn't really expect to, because I thought like, oh, I just won't know my big why again. But the way that it was laid out to think about all these different aspects of my life, how would my physical appearance change? How would my mental health change? How would the clothes that I wear? How would my income, my career, and breaking down like what would be different if I just followed this one simple rule? It became so clear to me, and I could really picture my life a year from now in each of those aspects. With the prompt, certainly, and even without the prompt, I had just changed the way that I was thinking to be much less hopeless and much more waiting to die. And I was happy to think about the clothes that I would be wearing and how I would feel when I looked in the mirror. And I felt really good about creating my big why.
Would you like to share any part of your big why? You don't have to.
I can read it to you.
Oh, that'd be wonderful.
I comply with my food plan and aggressively refute the pig 100% at all times. This is to help me feel good all over. My body will stop suffering with knee pain, swollen feet, back pain, labored breathing, and fat rolls. I won't think twice about what chair to sit in or if it can hold me. My nephews and I will have fun running and playing together. I will get down to the floor and back up with ease. I will be comfortable to fly regardless of who I sit next to and won't worry about my fat spilling onto their seat. I won't even think about how to maneuver my body in a public bathroom stall. I've recently earned a promotion at work, and I will increase my confidence in leading trainings and meetings, as well as giving my opinion in leadership meetings. A year from now, I will be earning another promotion. I will enjoy wearing stylish clothes that fit well and accentuate my professionalism and confidence. I will walk proudly owning who I am and that I matter. I will even date and have sex. I will have clarity to know I don't have to do anything I don't want to. I'll appreciate my body and what it is capable of. I won't worry about my nephews waking up next to me and me having died in my sleep. I will be confident that diabetes won't be a part of my life, regardless of my family history. And that is why I comply with my food plan and aggressively refute the pig 100% at all times.
How beautiful. What a good job you did with that. The impact that that has on you is what? You wrote that and you know what you're striving for now. How does that make it easier to go day in and day out not having processed sugar?
So it reminds me of the direction that I'm going and that there is something to live for. It goes hand in hand with my food plan in that when I'm making decisions, I think about the food plan. And at the beginning or the end of the day, when I'm setting my intention for the day, I think about my big why. And even throughout my day too, I might notice a couple of weeks ago, I was playing with my nephews and we jumped up from the floor to go do something else. And I thought, oh, that was actually really easy. Or I ran upstairs to go grab something and I came back down and I thought, oh, I'm not out of breath. When was the last time that happened? And so it makes me more aware of the day-to-day signals that reinforce I'm going the right direction.
Beautiful. What about the refutation process? Has that been helpful to you?
It took me a while to get into the refutation process because I didn't think that I was hearing pig squeals. And so for the first couple of weeks, I felt like I was only doing preemptive refutations. And then I did start to realize, okay, here's a pig squeal that I'll refute. And that seemed to be pretty straightforward. I was relying heavily on willpower. And so I would look at a cookie and hear the pig say something of like, oh, just a little or just one. And I would just like, nope, moving on. And so that was a short term, definitely worked. But I realized soon that I needed to have a proper refutation to be able to not rely on willpower so long that the willpower would run out. And so now I am a refutation fan.
Great. Terrific. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, I think we talked about everything.
Do you have any questions for me? Any way I can help
No,
you?
I'm feeling pretty good at the moment.
Emily, terrific. I'm glad that you found us. I'm glad that it's working for you. Glad you're connected to your coach and you're doing refutations and working your way through the process. Keep going. Just keep going.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for taking the time, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, dear. Bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.